Hello and welcome to the channel. This episode introduces a new series that I've been asked to start developing for our Histories of Blast channel. And we're going to call it History Hikes. And we're going to focus on hikes on or to abandoned industrial sites or such as railroad grades, old stone blast furnaces out in the woods of western and central Pennsylvania. The other day I took a drive out to the Allegheny Portage National Historic Site, which is about 2 hours east of where we are here in Pittsburgh. And I took the drive to make a short walk on a jeep trail, which is part of a state game lands that was once part of the Allegheny Portage Railroad and taken over by the Pennsylvania Railroad. And it's the part of that abandoned railroad grade that makes a very, very sharp 180-degree curve as it climbs in elevation. It's called the Muleshoe Curve, in contrast with the nearby Horseshoe Curve. So without further ado, I'll get out of the way and we'll start the video. It's only about the 12-minute video as the other ones are. So enjoy, and if you like the video, please don't forget to hit the like button, the thumbs up button, and we'd love to have you subscribe. It doesn't cost anything to you, and it helps us a great deal. It encourages us as well to keep doing these videos. And of course, feel free to make any comments you'd like to make. And with it, so I'll get out of the way and enjoy. Well, we're just about to turn on to Route 22. That's US Route 22 eastbound. We're in Blair County, Pennsylvania. It's Wednesday, March the 13th, 2019. And I'm making a little road trip out of Pittsburgh to take a short walk on the jeep trail that used to be the grade of the Pennsylvania Railroad's new Portage bypass around Horseshoe Curve. We've gotten off of US 22 and now we are heading back west up the highway that used to be on the Allegheny Portage. This roadbed was originally one of the inclined planes, plane number 10, which was the first one or the last one, depending on which direction you were going, at the base of the eastern slope of the Alleghenies. And you can see we are approaching the Alleghenies. The Allegheny Portage Railroad was a part of the Pennsylvania state-owned system of canals and railroads that connected Philadelphia on the east coast with the Ohio Valley at the city of Pittsburgh. And it was constructed in the 1830s and 40s. Never made any money. In fact, it was a money loser from the beginning. The Pennsylvania Railroad was chartered in 1846 and very quickly became a more effective all-weather means of transportation of passengers and freight across the state of Pennsylvania. The Allegheny Portage system was a series of inclined planes and levels that lifted canal boats over the Allegheny Mountains from the basin at Hollidaysburg, which is behind us about 4 miles, to a basin in Johnstown on the west side of the Alleghenies. And from there it followed a series of canals and slack waters down to the Ohio River and eventually into the city of Pittsburgh. In 1857, 3 years after the Pennsylvania Railroad completed its Horseshoe Curve, the state of Pennsylvania completed a all-rail bypass around its original system of plains and levels. It was called the New Portage Railroad. Here we're coming up to the Muleshoe Curve overpass. This would have been constructed in 1904. We're going to turn into the little parking lot here. This is an access road now to the state game lands. So it's open for construction vehicles only. I wonder what they're doing. It says do not block. And we're just going to take a little walk. I've never walked on this before. I've driven past it and underneath it several times, but I've never stopped to walk it. Since it's not hunting season, I won't be taking the parking place from a hunter. You can see there's been a lot of snow up here this season. Well, there's a lot of activity on this road today. It's a Wednesday. There's a nice still panning shot to give you a good idea of the scale of this overpass. Walking up the access ramp to the grade now. 3.5 miles. There's a trail called the 6 to 10 trail, and this is part of it. But from here at the Muleshoe Curve, the rest of the inclines and plains on the original portage went straight, while this one followed a railroad grade around in a steep curve to follow the contours to get a gentler grade up to the top of the mountain. As we go on the Jeep trail, you can see a dam for one of the reservoirs. Now, these reservoirs now provide drinking water, fresh water for the communities at the bottom of the grades. But they were originally built to actually store water for use in the canal system, to keep water in the canals during dry periods. And canals could not stay open in North America all year round. They tended to go dry in the summer, in the late summer, and freeze over in the winters. So that it was not a 365-day-a-year operation, which is why railroads were so important, and also why railroads eventually put the canals out of business. And there's the grade going down, curving around and heading back down to the appropriately named village of Foot of 10, which actually stands for the fact that the village sat at the foot of incline plane number 10. So again, the portage was built in the new Portage Railroad, that is, was built in 1857, quickly sold to the Pennsylvania Railroad, which then scrapped the line, and it lay abandoned until 1904, when the Pennsylvania Railroad decided that it needed to have a bypass around the congestion on the Horseshoe Curve, as the dawn of the 20th century brought on a lot of traffic to the railroad. So they laid the double track line on this grade, and it connected to the main line just east of the tunnels underneath Gallitzin. And it stayed a two-track line all the way through World War II and into the 1950s. And in 1961, the Pennsylvania Railroad, having suffered, as all railroads did, a decline in traffic, took up one of the tracks, and it was cut back to a one-track railroad. You can see I'm crossing over. It's pretty snowy up here still. The temperatures up here feel like they're about in the low 40s, but there's a little bit of a breeze, so there's a wind chill. And So the line continued to see some light freight traffic into the 1970s, and in 1968 the Pennsylvania Railroad merged with the New York Central Railroad, and they were having serious financial difficulties, and by the time of the Hurricane Agnes in 1972, the new Penn Central line was on the verge of bankruptcy. And in fact, Hurricane Agnes is probably what put it over the edge. Well, this line more or less lay unmaintained and unused until it was finally torn up in 1989 by Conrail. Conrail was the federally mandated corporation that was formed to take all of the bankrupt Northeastern railroads, Penn Central, the biggest one among them, and form it into what was called the Consolidated Rail Corporation. And that happened in 1976. The National Railroad Consolidation Act of 1976. Truck noise below us. We're going over the overpass now. Conrail finally tore up the line for the last time in 1981, and it's more or less now used as access to one of the publicly owned hunting reserves in Pennsylvania known as the State Game Lands. And in fact, we're coming up to the gate to State Game Lands now. And you can see the massive cutting. Now there's a cut as the line begins to climb the hill. I just wanted to bring you out and introduce you to this. This trail goes on for about another 2 or 3 miles until it runs into the new 4-lane US 22 highway that was constructed in the last decade of the 20th century. So we're going to end my walk here, and we'll turn around. We'll walk back down to the vehicle. I got to get home anyway. So I just wanted to introduce people to this line. Maybe when the weather's nicer or the snow's gone and I've got the appropriate shoes, we can come back up here. Fall foliage season. It'll be hunting time, but I'll put an orange vest on for you, and we'll come up here in the fall foliage sometime. I want to show you that paw print. That's not a deer. It's a big cat. There's just a parting shot looking east and looking west. I was just about to remark about how it's not very scenic up here at this time of year. Here's a pretty little bog. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to click the thumbs up button and like the video. Comments are always welcome, so comment if you like, and subscribe to the channel. It helps us and doesn't cost you anything. Goodbye.